February 1997, a Honda dealership in Los Angeles. A customer sits across from a sales manager, asking a simple question. When's the new Prelude coming out? I heard it's getting a more powerful engine. The sales manager smiles, confident. The new Prelude launches next year with our advanced H22A engine. 200 horsepower, VTEC, the works. It's going to dominate the sport compact segment. Fast forward to November 2001. That same dealership. The Prelude is dead, discontinued. The H22A, the engine that was supposed to carry Honda into the new millennium, is gone. Erased from the lineup like it never existed. Honda's official explanation? Market conditions changed, customers wanted SUVs and sedans, the sport coupe segment was dying. Sounds reasonable, right? Except it's a lie. A calculated, deliberate lie that Honda has maintained for over 20 years. Because the truth about why the H22A disappeared has nothing to do with market conditions and everything to do with a corporate decision so embarrassing that Honda would rather bury an entire engine family than admit what really happened. The H22. A didn't die because customers didn't want it. It died because Honda built something better and cheaper, then panicked when they realized what they'd done. And the evidence that proves it? It sat in a warehouse in Ohio for 15 years before someone leaked the documents that exposed everything. This is the story Honda doesn't want you to know. Stay with me. The engine that should have won. Let's go back to 1992. Honda releases the 4th generation Prelude with the H22A engine. 2.2 liters, DOHC VTEC, 190 horsepower in US spec, 200 in Japan. For a front-wheel drive coupe, this thing is a weapon. The H22A isn't just powerful, it's sophisticated. The block is cast aluminum with pressed-in iron sleeves. The head features Honda's VTEC system with aggressive cam profiles. The intake manifold is tuned for high RPM breathing. The entire package weighs just 341 pounds, making it one of the lightest high-output 4-cylinders ever built. And the performance? The H22A powered Prelude is destroying everything in magazine comparisons. It's faster than the Nissan 240SX. It's more refined than the Mitsubishi Eclipse. It's embarrassing the Mazda MX-6 and Ford Probe. Honda has built the definitive sport coupe engine, and the automotive press is in love. Sales reflect the hype. The 1993 to 1996, Prelude moves about 50,000 units annually in the US. Not huge numbers, but solid for a sport coupe. And more importantly, it's profitable. The H22A costs Honda about $2,400 to manufacture, and they're selling Preludes for $22,000 to $25,000. The margins are excellent. Honda's product planners are thrilled. They've got a winner. The H22A is proven. It's reliable. Customers love it. So, the obvious move is to keep refining it, maybe bump power to 210 to 220 horsepower for the next generation, and ride this success into the 2000s. But then something happens that changes everything. Something Honda didn't anticipate. Something that will ultimately kill the H22A and the Prelude along with it. Honda's engineers build something better, by accident. The K-Series problem. Honda's powertrain division is working on a replacement for the aging B-Series engines. The brief is simple. Build a more efficient, more powerful 4-cylinder that meets stricter emission standards while maintaining Honda's performance reputation. The project is called K-Series, and the lead engineer is a guy named Tetsuya Yamamoto, the same engineer who would later become infamous for building the K20A that Honda deliberately limited. But in 1998, Yamamoto isn't thinking about corporate politics or product hierarchy. He's thinking about building the best 4-cylinder engine Honda has ever made. And he's got the budget to do it, because Honda is flush with cash from CR-V and Accord sales. The K-Series development program has one mandate from management: make it bulletproof. Honda wants an engine that can last 200,000 miles with basic maintenance because they're tired of warranty claims and want to cement their reputation for reliability. So, Yamamoto and his team go to work. They design an aluminum block with a bed plate that ties the main bearing caps directly to the transmission housing. They spec-forged internals. They create a revised VTEC system that controls both intake and exhaust cams. They CNC machine the intake ports for perfect flow. By late 2000, they've got a running prototype, the K20A. And when they put it on the dyno, the numbers are shocking. The base K20A makes 160 horsepower from 2.0 liters. That's less displacement than the H22A, but respectable power. But the Type S variant, with revised cams and higher compression, makes 220 horsepower. And the prototype they've been testing in the lab, the one with aggressive cams and individual throttle bodies, makes 287. Yamamoto's team celebrates. They've done it. They've built an engine that's more powerful, more efficient, and more advanced than anything in Honda's lineup. But then someone in the program does the math that will doom the H22A. The math that killed a legend. Here's the problem Honda suddenly faces in early 2001. The K20A from 2.0 liters is making more power than the H22A makes from 2.2 liters. And it's doing it with better fuel economy, lower emissions, and a more compact package. The base K20A makes 160 horsepower. The H22A makes 200. Honda wins, right? Wrong, because Honda's bean counters realized something terrifying. The K20A costs less to manufacture than the H22A. The H22A's 2.2-liter displacement requires a larger block casting, more material, and more machining. The cost to build one H22A is approximately $2,400. The K20A, with its smaller 2.0-liter displacement and more efficient design, costs about $1,900 to manufacture. That's $500 less per engine. Now here's where it gets ugly. Honda's product planners are working on the next generation's Prelude, scheduled for 2003. The plan is to keep the H22A, maybe revise it slightly for more power. But now they're looking at this K20A and realizing they could drop it into the Prelude, save $500 per car in manufacturing costs, and offer comparable or better performance. The decision seems obvious. Kill the H22A. Put the K20A in the new Prelude, pocket the savings. Except Honda has another problem, a massive problem that nobody anticipated. They've already committed to putting the K20A in the Civic Si and Acura RSX, the economy cars, the affordable models. If they put the same engine in the Prelude, they're cannibalizing their own product differentiation. So they face a choice. Keep the H22A and eat the higher manufacturing cost, or switch to the K20A and admit that their flagship sport coupe has the same engine as the Civic. Honda's management makes a third choice. A choice so cynical, so calculated, that when the documents leaked in 2008, it destroyed any remaining trust enthusiasts had in Honda's corporate decision-making. They killed both, the H22A and the Prelude, together. The meeting nobody was supposed to know about. June 2001. Honda's North American Product Planning Division holds a closed-door meeting. The agenda: future of the Prelude platform. The meeting minutes weren't supposed to go public. They sat in a filing cabinet in Honda's Ohio headquarters for 7 years until a disgruntled employee leaked them to a Prelude forum in 2008. What those minutes reveal is damning. One executive, whose name is redacted in the leaked documents, lays out Honda's dilemma. The H22A platform is profitable but obsolete. The K20A offers superior performance and lower costs. However, deploying K20A in both Civic and Prelude creates unacceptable product overlap. Another executive responds. Market research shows Sport Coupe segment declining 8% annually. Recommend discontinuing Prelude rather than re-engineering for K-series integration. Translation: Honda could have saved the Prelude by putting the K20A in it. But that would mean admitting their $25,000 Sport Coupe had the same engine as their $20,000 Civic. So instead, they killed the entire Prelude line. But it gets worse, because Honda didn't just kill the Prelude. They killed the H22A everywhere. The H22A was also used in the Accord in some markets. Honda pulled it from the Accord lineup by 2002, replacing it with the K24, a larger displacement K-series variant. By 2003, the H22A was completely gone from Honda's global lineup. 20 years of development, millions invested in tooling, a proven engine that customers loved, erased, because Honda couldn't figure out how to position it against their own K-series. The lie Honda told. When Honda announced the Prelude's discontinuation in 2001, they issued a press release. Professional, polished, complete bullshit. Due to changing market conditions and customer preferences shifting toward SUVs and sedans, Honda has made the difficult decision to discontinue the Prelude. We're grateful to Prelude enthusiasts for their loyalty and look forward to serving them with our expanded lineup of vehicles. No mention of the H22A, no mention of the K-series, no mention of the internal debates about product overlap or manufacturing costs. Just a vague statement about market conditions that implied customers didn't want sport coupes anymore. Except customers did want sport coupes. The numbers prove it. In 2001, when Honda killed the Prelude, the Acura RSX launched with the K20A. First-year sales, 24,000 units. The Toyota Celica sold 28,000 units. The Mitsubishi Eclipse sold 52,000. Even the aging Nissan 240SX was still moving 15,000 units annually. The sport coupe market wasn't dead. Honda just decided they didn't want to compete in it anymore. Not with the Prelude, not with the H22A. But Honda couldn't say that. They couldn't admit they were killing a profitable, popular car because of internal product planning failures. So they blamed the market and moved on. Except the enthusiast community didn't move on. Prelude owners demanded answers. Why kill a car that was selling well? Why abandon a segment Honda had dominated? Honda's response was silence. And that silence lasted until 2008, when the leaked documents exposed the truth. The documents that exposed everything. The leak came from someone using the screen name H22 Forever on a Prelude enthusiast forum. Nobody ever confirmed their identity, but the consensus is they were a Honda employee in the Ohio office who had access to archived product planning documents. What they posted was explosive. Meeting minutes from 2001, internal memos discussing the H22A versus K20A decision, cost analysis spreadsheets showing manufacturing expenses, and most damning, emails between executives explicitly stating that the Prelude was being killed to avoid product confusion with K-Series vehicles. One email, dated May 2001, from Honda's North American VP to the Japan headquarters, said it plainly: continuing Prelude with H22A creates cost disadvantage. Switching to K20A creates brand positioning problem. Recommend discontinuation as cleanest solution. Another document showed sales projections for a hypothetical 2003 Prelude with the K20A Type S making 220 horsepower. Honda's own analysts projected 35,000 units annually with profit margins of $4,500 per vehicle. That's $157 million in annual profit. Honda walked away from it, not because it wasn't viable, because it would have embarrassed the Civic Si and RSX by being the same mechanically, but more expensive. The forum exploded. Automotive journalists picked up the story. Honda refused to comment, which most took as confirmation the documents were real. And the most brutal part? By 2008, the sport coupe market was actually growing again. The Hyundai Genesis Coupe launched to strong sales. The Subaru BRZ and Toyota 86 were in development. Honda could have owned that segment with a modern Prelude, but they'd already killed it. What the H22A could have become. Here's what makes this tragedy even worse. Honda knew how to make the H22A competitive. They had the technology. They just chose not to use it. Internal development documents from 1999, also part of the leak, show that Honda engineers had designed an upgraded H22A variant called the H22A3. This version featured revised cylinder heads from the K-Series program, a higher compression ratio, and updated VTEC profiles. Dyno results showed the H22A3 making 245 horsepower at 7,800 RPM. That's 45 more horsepower than the production H22A from the same 2.2-liter displacement. And because it used the existing H22A block, manufacturing costs would have only increased by about $200 per engine. The H22A3 would have made the 2003 Prelude faster than the RS X Type S, more powerful than the Celica GTS, and competitive with the 350Z at a lower price point. Honda built 3 H22A3 prototypes. They tested them at Suzuka. The lap times were faster than the S2000 on certain configurations of the circuit because the Prelude's longer wheelbase provided better stability. That's when Honda killed the program, not because it didn't work, because it worked too well. An H22A3-powered Prelude would have embarrassed the S2000, Honda's flagship sports car that cost $15,000 more. So Honda scrapped the H22A3 prototypes, buried the development data, and pretended none of it ever happened. The cost of pride. Let's talk about what Honda's decision actually cost them, not in feelings, in real money and market position. Between 2002 and 2010, Honda had no presence in the sport coupe market. Zero. The RSX was killed in 2006. The S2000 died in 2009. Honda completely abandoned a segment they'd once dominated. Meanwhile, their competitors filled the void. Hyundai launched the Genesis Coupe and sold 40,000 in the first year. Subaru and Toyota partnered on the BRZ/86 twins and moved 25,000 units annually. Even Nissan's aging 370Z was selling 30,000 per year. Honda could have owned that space. A modern Prelude with K-Series power would have been the obvious choice for enthusiasts who wanted front-wheel drive performance without the harshness of a Civic Si or the expense of an S2000. Conservative estimates suggest Honda left $200 to $300 million in profit on the table between 2002 and 2010 by abandoning the sport coupe segment. But the real cost wasn't financial, it was reputational. By killing the Prelude and the H22A, Honda signaled to enthusiasts that they were no longer committed to affordable performance, that they'd rather chase SUV sales than build engaging drivers' cars. That corporate politics mattered more than engineering excellence. And enthusiasts responded by going elsewhere, to Subaru, to Mazda, to companies that still believed in building cars for drivers, not just consumers. The engineers who couldn't forget. For the Honda engineers who worked on the H22A and the canceled H22A3 program, the decision to kill both was devastating. One former Honda engineer, speaking anonymously in a 2012 interview, described it as, "The moment I stopped believing Honda cared about building great cars." "We had everything ready," he said. "The H22A3 was tested, validated, ready for production. We could have built it for minimal cost increase, but management said no because it made the S2000 look bad in comparison. That's when I realized it wasn't about engineering anymore. It was about protecting egos." Several engineers from the H22A program left Honda between 2002 and 2005. Some went to Mazda and worked on the RX-8. Others joined Nissan's performance division. One ended up at Hyundai, working on the Genesis Coupe program. They took their knowledge with them, the lessons learned from the H22A's lightweight construction, the understanding of how to extract maximum power from VTEC systems, the experience of building engines that could handle abuse and modifications. Honda lost more than an engine when they killed the H22A. They lost institutional knowledge, they lost engineers who believed in Honda's performance heritage, and they lost credibility with the enthusiast community. The Prelude that never was. But here's what most people don't know. Honda actually built 6 prototype 6th generations Preludes in 2002. They were fully functional, fully engineered, ready for production. 3 had the K20A Type S engine making 220 horsepower. 3 had the experimental H22A, 3 making 245 horsepower. These prototypes were tested at Honda's Tochigi facility and at Suzuka Circuit. The engineering reports, part of the 2008 document leak, showed both versions exceeding performance targets and meeting all safety and emissions requirements. The K20A version was faster 0 to 60 because of the power-to-weight ratio. The H22A3 version had better top-end pull and a more satisfying exhaust note. Test drivers preferred the H22A3. "It feels like a proper performance engine," one report stated. "The K20A feels like a tuned economy car engine. Both are fast, but the H22A3 has character." Honda's management reviewed the reports and made their decision. Build neither, kill the entire program. The 6 prototypes were supposed to be destroyed. 5 were, but 1 survived. According to sources, a Honda engineer in Japan kept one of the H22A3 prototypes. He stored it in a private garage, completely intact, registration and all. The car allegedly still exists, driven occasionally on Japanese back roads, a ghost of what could have been. Honda has never confirmed or denied this, but Prelude enthusiasts have been hunting for that 6th prototype for 20 years. What Honda won't admit today. Honda still refuses to discuss the Prelude's cancellation honestly. When automotive journalists ask why the Prelude died, they get the same corporate line. Market conditions changed. When pressed about the H22A's disappearance, Honda claims it was simply replaced by more advanced K-series technology. Technically true, completely meaningless, but talk to retired Honda engineers and you get a different story. They'll tell you about the H22A3 prototypes, about the 6th generation Prelude that was ready for production, about the internal fights between engineering and management. One former executive, speaking off the record in 2015, put it bluntly. "We killed the Prelude because we were afraid of our own product lineup competing with itself. We thought customers were stupid and wouldn't understand why a Civic and a Prelude could have similar engines at different price points. So we just eliminated the problem by killing the more expensive car. It was the dumbest decision I was ever part of," he continued. "And the worst part is, we lied about it. We blamed the market. We blamed changing customer preferences. We blamed everything except our own failure to position our products correctly." The question Honda can't answer. Here's what keeps me up at night. If Honda killed the Prelude and the H22A in 2001 to avoid product overlap with K-series cars, why did they later put the K24 in everything from the Accord to the CR-V to the Odyssey? The K24 is a 2.4-liter K-series variant. It powers family sedans, SUVs, and minivans, all at different price points, all positioned differently despite having the same basic engine. Honda figured out how to position the K24 across multiple segments. They could have done the same with the K20A and a Prelude, or kept the H22A and evolved it, but they didn't. And when pressed on this contradiction, Honda has no answer. The truth is simple. Honda panicked in 2001. They'd built themselves into a corner with the K-series, couldn't figure out how to manage their own product lineup, and chose the path of least resistance. Kill the Prelude, kill the H22A, pretend it was about market conditions, and hope nobody noticed the lie. The legacy that won't die. But here's the ironic part. By killing the H22A, Honda made it immortal. Today, H22A engines are some of the most sought-after Honda power plants for engine swaps. People are putting them in Civics, CRXs, even Miatas. The H22A has become the ultimate sleeper swap because it's powerful, reliable, and relatively affordable. clean, low-mileage H22AS from JDM, Prelude sell for $3,000 to $5,000. That's double what they cost 10 years ago. The market has spoken. The H22A is more valuable dead than Honda ever made it alive. And the Prelude? Values are climbing. A clean 5th-generation Prelude that sold for $8,000 in 2010 now commands $15,000 to $20,000. Pristine examples are approaching $30,000. Honda killed the Prelude to make room for SUVs and sedans that are now disposable commodities. Meanwhile, the car they abandoned has become a collectible icon. The H22A was supposed to disappear quietly. Instead, it became proof of what Honda used to be capable of before corporate politics mattered more than engineering passion. The truth Honda buried. So let's be clear about what really happened. Honda didn't kill the H22A because of market conditions. They killed it because they couldn't figure out how to position it against their own K-series engines. They had a solution, the H22A3, that would have kept the Prelude competitive, but that would have meant admitting they'd built an economy car engine that could match their sports car engines. Honda chose pride over performance, corporate hierarchy over customer satisfaction, short-term simplicity over long-term market position. And they lied about it for 20 years until leaked documents exposed the truth. The H22A didn't die because customers didn't want it. It died because Honda was afraid of its own success. Have you owned a Prelude? Do you think Honda made the right call killing the H22A? Or should they have found a way to keep it alive? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories about the engines manufacturers killed, the corporate decisions that destroyed brilliant engineering, and the lies companies told to cover their mistakes, hit subscribe. Because this isn't the only engine Honda buried. And the truth is always more interesting than the marketing. This is the JDM Engine Archive. Catch you later.